Welcome back to another video, Rams Nation. It's been a long time. My last video was when the Rams got knocked out of the playoffs by the Falcons. I haven't been on since then. I've been hibernating. It must have put me in a really bad mood after that loss. But right before the drafts, we got 2 weeks. I'm going to put out these videos, this little draft series on my thoughts on some of these prospects. I'm going to rank my quarterbacks. I'm going to do some mock drafts. So I'm going to do these videos for you guys. And, you know, I want to be a scout when I'm older. So these are just, you know, some documents for me to look back on and see what I learned, what I did wrong, what I did right, and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, and especially like after the draft, I get to look back and on these videos, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I was right on him, or it's cool that this guy has gone to this team or something like that, or even in a couple years to look back on these videos to see how right or how wrong I was. So with my first video, it's going to be on Anthony Miller and why he's the best wide receiver in the draft. Yes, you heard me correctly. Not Calvin Ridley, not Courtland Sutton, not DJ Moore, not even Christian Kirk, but Anthony Miller, who's projected as a second-round pick, is the best wide receiver in this draft. So why is he the best? Well, the first reason is because he can dominate. He can take over games. As you can see in the UConn game or the UCLA game, he could dominate. He could do everything. He can catch the ball, he can run with it, he can get yards after the catch, he can win the jump ball, he can do everything that you want in a number one wide receiver, and that's what I think he can be.
So in this play, you have Riley Ferguson with a play action and a back shoulder throw to Anthony Miller, and he wins it. That shows how strong he is on this play. On this next one, you have the same exact thing, same exact look, back shoulder. It looks like the same exact play, but it is not. On this play, you're going to have a little play action. He rolls out, he steps up, and he throws a contested catch up for grabs to Anthony Miller, and he comes down with it. There's a touchdown signal right there. And on this play, this is a crazy catch from Anthony Miller. Ferguson steps up in the pocket, and he reaches over the defender to come down with it, and there's a little swagger right there. And on this play, Ferguson just hits Miller for a diving catch, and this is the type of play you want your number one wide receiver to make. And on this play, Miller's going to run an intermediate slant, and he's going to come down with it, reach over the goal line for a touchdown.
Now, reason number 2 why Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver in the draft is because his release is phenomenal at the line of scrimmage. It reminds me a lot of Doug Baldwin, who is actually my pro comparison for Anthony Miller. At the line of scrimmage, he can shake his man, whoever's guarding him, and he can get separation.
Here's an example of his release. He has quick feet right there, and he shakes him off, he gets that separation, makes the catch, breaks a tackle, and gets more yards after the catch. And here's Doug Baldwin, and it's just to show his release, because here's why I compare him. His release is very similar to Anthony Miller's, and same way the other way. And here is an out-and-out, and Miller shakes his defender, does a nice job. He doesn't make the catch, but that separation is still there. And here is Doug Baldwin running the same exact out and up, but he makes the catch and scores a touchdown.
And reason number 3 why Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver in the draft is because he is a good yard after the catch guy. Like I said, he could dominate, but specifically, he is great after the catch. He catches the ball, he can juke out a couple guys, he can even lower his shoulder, and at the combine, he had 22 bench press reps, which shows how strong he is.
On this play, we have an RPO to Miller on the left side, and once he catches it, it's going to show his open field ability with a juke right there and a juke right there to get a few more yards. On this next play, he has a concentration issue when catching the ball, but he catches it, he breaks a tackle, and shows balance to get a few extra yards.
And reason number 4 why Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver in the draft is because he's a great leader. He worked for everything that he earned at Memphis. He wasn't just any normal walk-on. He begged to walk on at Memphis, and what did he do? He broke all of Isaac Bruce's records, who is going to be a future Hall of Famer. And reason number 5 why Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver in this draft is because he has big hands. According to Dan Brugler's top 60 wide receivers in this draft, only 6 of them have hands that are 10 inches or bigger, and Anthony Miller is one of them. Not even the top wide receivers like Courtland Sutton or Calvin Ridley have these big of hands. And this list has a lot of people, 60 wide receivers. Some of them I've never even heard of. And some of these guys that I've never even heard of have the biggest hands. So a lot of the top wide receivers in this draft that you might think of, like Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Courtland Sutton, Sammy Cobbs, none of them have 10-inch hands.
On this play, Miller's at the top of the screen running a shallow crosser, and he's going to make this catch to show how big his hands are. One-handed, plucks it right out of the air.
And reason number 6 why Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver in this draft is because he has great draft value. I think he's the number 1 wide receiver in the draft, but like I said earlier, his value is in the second round for some reason, and that's a great value pick. See, opportunity cost in the draft is a real thing. Would I rather take Calvin Ridley or Courtland Sutton in the middle of the first round? Both guys I love. Don't get me wrong. I think these guys are going to be good wide receivers, but they're not as good as Anthony Miller. You see, I would rather take Anthony Miller in the second round where he's projected to go than spend a high pick on Courtland Sutton or Calvin Ridley, maybe even DJ Moore, who I think people are overrating. I'm not really a huge fan of DJ Moore, but I am a big fan of Calvin Ridley and Courtland Sutton. And reason number 7 why Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver in this draft is because I think he's very versatile, and I think he will be an elite level at the slot. Now, he can play outside too, and I think he'll be a great wide receiver there, but I think if you put him in the slot, he will be an elite slot wide receiver that we will, hear breaking records all the time. And I think he's just that type of wide receiver. And going back to the last point, in the second round is great value for him. So if your team is needing a wide receiver and they pick in the second round, they need to take Anthony Miller. Now, Anthony Miller is not the perfect wide receiver prospect at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's the best in this draft class, which some people call weaker, but I think he's going to be an elite talent. But he has some weaknesses. Now, what are his weaknesses? His first weakness is that he has concentration drops and he fumbles the ball quite a bit. Those things are going to have to be fixed for him to be that elite wide receiver that I think he can be. But the coaching in the NFL, they should be able to fix that. If you're a coaching staff and you can't fix that, then come on. Also, he's 24 years old, so he's on the older side. He's older than Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is like 20, 21 years old, so he's pretty young. So you're going to have him for 3 years more than Anthony Miller. But if you look back on the last year's draft, we said the same about Cooper Kupp, and we all know how he went, or how he did. He fell to the third round, and he played at a lower level than Anthony Miller did. And, he went to the Rams, and I think he was the second most receiving yards for rookie wide receivers this year, and he broke the Rams rookie record for most receiving yards. And also, like I said, Cooper Kupp played a lower level division, while Anthony Miller played mid-tier Division I teams since he played for Memphis. But if you go back through, he dominated UCLA, who is a top Pac-12 school. So, you can call that a weakness if you want to. I'm just reaching here. You just got a note of it, but that's not really a weakness to me. And also, this is like the same thing about what I said not really being a weakness, is that he is undersized at 5'10". He's undersized. We look at guys like Aaron Donald. I know he's a defensive tackle, but he's 6'1". He's undersized. Well, he's the best player on defense in the NFL. You look at someone like Odell Beckham Jr. He's 5'11". He's the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's not the 6'2" guy that you want, or the 6'3". He's 5'10", but he's going to be a great wide receiver, and that's not good enough of a reason to pass on him. Well, that's it for this video, Rams Nation, or whoever's watching this video. I hope more people are watching. Scouts, future scouts. If a scout's watching this and coming to me for advice, that'd be awesome. Probably not. I'm just dreaming, but I want to be a scout, so I think that'd be pretty cool. And my next video is going to be on why running back Kerryon Johnson is the running back that everybody is sleeping on in this draft. So, keep your eyes open for that video. It's coming really soon. Like I said, I got to crack out these videos right before the draft. So, again, thanks for watching. Go Rams. Go Anthony Miller. He's going to be the best wide receiver in this draft. So, yeah, go Anthony Miller.